Rhiannon Giddens, a Grammy and Pulitzer Prize-winning musical artist, brings history to life with her latest project, American Railroad. This compelling work shares the story of the U.S. transcontinental railroad through the perspectives of its builders, African American, Chinese, Japanese, Irish, and Native American workers. Nina Vishneva has the story narrated by Anna Rice.
American Railroad is a musical history of the construction of the transcontinental railway network, but it's seen through the eyes of those who actually built it. Immigrants from Ireland, Italy, Japan, China, as well as former African American slaves and Native American peoples.
You name it, people who were not considered of worth in our society.
The project, which includes an album as well as a tour with a film and lectures, was put together by Rhiannon Giddens, who calls herself a very American artist that's very rooted in history. She's spent most of her artistic career highlighting the role of Black musicians in the bluegrass, country, and folk genres.
They were the ones who built that incredibly, economically important and technologically important thing that, kind of transformed our histories.
Here at the local steel plant in Scranton, Pennsylvania, immigrant workers made the American rails, which replaced expensive imported British ones, and helped the U.S. rail industry take off. Steam locomotives are still restored and fixed at the local depot. These days, they transport tourists, but in the late 1800s and early 1900s, the Pennsylvania Railroad was the largest corporation in the world, says Tim O'Malley from the National Park Service.
In the early 1900s, the story of, or the culture of railroading was the culture of the United States. They were so dependent upon one another.
But it was a business that Giddens says rests on the bones of immigrant workers. With American Railroad, she took songs written by slaves who built the railway through North Carolina, Giddens' home state. And her hope is that the project continues to tell a unifying element of America's story through the eyes of the people who built its history.
It's the never-ending dilemma of the artist, It's like, what actual good are we doing? I don't know, but I do know that audiences have been very receptive and kind of needing this sort of message right now. The more we see ourselves in other people's, even though we've been told we're very different, the more we can actually do something,
The American Railroad project allows viewers to pay tribute to those underappreciated groups, without which the U.S. would have hardly become what it is now, says Giddens. For Nina Vishneva in New York, Anna Rice, VOA News.